Good afternoon. What's going on, Progressive Action family? For those who don't know me, this is Andre Simpson. I'm a track worker at MTA New York City Transit. And I know Tramel like over 30 years of my life. So when the bro hit me up and he told me that, he wanted me to speak on some things, it's like, I can't tell a bro no. So I want to touch on a couple of things, specifically from a track perspective. Many of us have seen the news reports about the top 10 overtime earners in the MTA. And they mainly came from, well, pretty much all of them were for MTA Police, Long Island Railroad, and Metro North. Missing from that was New York City Transit. And it's kind of ironic because, as we know in New York City Transit, had that been one of us on that top 10 earners list, all hell would have broke loose. The IG would have been at us real quick. Like, it would have been an investigation. It's almost like everybody in the MTA can get overtime except people in New York City Transit. And we're like the stepchild, although we're the biggest operating agency. And it kind of boggles the mind. So when you look at what's going on with the overtime situation and how that kind of trickles down to us, me speaking from a track perspective, there's no overtime in track really at this time. A couple of guys in my quarters, they were signed up for fast tracks that they didn't even put their name on. And people are being forced to do fast track on straight time. It's like they want the job to be done, but they don't want to compensate us for doing the job. But they have no problem paying contractors to do certain jobs. It's like we always get the short end of the stick. We had a situation that's still ongoing with the track inspectors. Many of our track inspector brothers and sisters who have numerous years of experience are being forced out by new policies that are put in effect that affects their job. You have track inspectors with 30 plus years. I have one in my quarters that just retired. And he retired because he was forced out because they gave him a couple of hours of training on a smartphone that he had no idea how to work. And so we ask ourselves, how does that trickle down to the rest of us in track? Well, it's the main reason why the track pick is being held up at this point. The track pick is being held up because management fully expects there to be a mass exodus of people leaving the title of track inspection. And because we are short on bodies in track right now, I believe they said about 500 people we're short. They're not trying to have a pick because it's going to leave a void open in track inspection. And what that void is going to do is, God forbid, something happens where you got inexperienced track inspectors, or you don't have enough track inspectors out there and a train derails. That's bad publicity for the MTA. So this is the trickle-down effect of why track has not had a pick in going over 2 years now, which is not fair because we look at other divisions and we see the way other divisions, it's in their contracts pretty much to have picks on a certain schedule. It's not good for our morale. You have people who have great minds who want to move up in different positions, who want to have other specialties that they want to bring to the table in certain specialist positions, and they can't be moved up. They're being forced to hold on to the current pick that we're in because management can't get it together with the track inspectors. Neither can they get it together with the seniority list. We've had 2 seniority lists come out in track, and both of them has been wrong. So, that's just the kind of the circus that's going on in track right now. Um, Also, I wanted to talk on just things from a track perspective. I feel like a lot of other divisions talk about their experiences, but us in track, we don't really have a voice that talks from our experience. It seems like track workers are looked at as, ignorant people, like we don't know anything, like as if many of us didn't have careers outside the MTA. There are a lot of very intelligent track workers that have come to the MTA. Not because we had no other career choices, because many of us were in other careers, but because we chose this job. We took the tests and we thought that we were coming to be part of a great work environment, a great union. And what many of us find out when we get here is that may not necessarily be the facts all the time. So, the narrative that track workers are dumb and we don't know what's going on, we shutting all that. We're not doing that going forward. The same old status quo thing that we got going on in track, we're not doing that no more either. There seems to be a thing in track where when you ask somebody why things is the way that they are, why do we go 2-3 years without a pick? Oh, that's the way it's always been. Why can't, if you're in T7, you do overtime in like T2? Oh, because you can't. That's the way it's always been. We no longer accepting the status quo. The status quo has got our track inspectors under attack right now. The status quo has got us stuck in a pick that's 2 years long. The status quo had got our overtime cut. The status quo have gotten contractors taking over work that track workers can easily be doing ourselves. So we're no longer going to accept the status quo. It's time for my track people to stand up. We talk about these issues every day in our quarters throughout the system, but we don't do anything about it. And we can no longer sit back and talk about things that we're not willing to fight for. Track is one of those divisions where people overlook. We underappreciate it. I'll give you a perfect example. We're still in the winter. We've done a lot of snow duty. We go to different quarters when we do snow duty. We're there to help clear platforms. We're there to help clear switches. And we get treated like we don't belong there, as if the quarters belong to the people occupying it. And it's like, why are you track workers here? Well, we're here to assist you. It's all about respect. We come in to do a job. You think that we want to go all the way to the Bronx when we may live in Brooklyn and our quarters is in Brooklyn somewhere or Midtown Manhattan? Show a little respect for track workers. Nobody can understand what a track worker goes through. If anything, when we talk about hazard pay, track is the definition of a title that should have hazard pay. I mean, just think about it. Every track worker knows when they step on them tracks, every day or every night, it could be their last time stepping on those tracks. Those are the thoughts that we have in our mind when we step on the track. Whether you work in capital days when standing on a structure, one wrong step, and you can end up off the structure. Whether you working in capital nights and you're doing chip outs and you're breathing in all kind of silica and dust that you don't even know how it's going to affect your respiratory in the long term, even with your PPE on. The track inspectors who are working under pressure, knowing that if they miss something, it could mean a job or they getting banged in. The stresses that they got to deal with doing that particular job. Whether it's maintenance workers who have to carry heavy tools, sometimes 2-3 flights down steps and then carry them thousands of feet into the tunnel while dealing with the hazards of being on the tracks because you're working under live train traffic, or you have to worry about dodging the third rail so you won't get electrocuted, or even people in T7, where you're cleaning up stations where you're dodging thousands of used needles, that one wrong move, one wrong slip, and you get pierced by a needle that you don't know who had it, and what it contains, and how, it'll hurt you. These are the constant things that people that work in track have to deal with. And I say to those people who are satisfied with the status quo, enough is enough of the status quo. You ask people in track why things the way that they are, again, that's the way it's always been. Well, why hasn't it been changed? We can't affect to solve new issues with an old way of looking at it. Things have to change because we're under attack now. I think we've been too passive in allowing management and our union to not fight for things at the very basic. That do we not deserve to go into a clean quarters where you don't have rats, where it's not dirty, where it's properly sanitized? We spend enough time on the tracks that are dirty, the tunnels that are dirty, and we got to come back to our quarters that are dirty too. I mean, is that the environment that we want to be sitting around in? How about giving us more than one pair of boots a year? I mean, the amount of wear and tear that goes onto our boots. If management has money to buy track inspector iPhones to track them GPS, then they should have money to get us more than one pair of boots per year. That's not too much to ask for. Like breathing in the train diesel. I look in the eyes of many of our elder track workers, and it's kind of disheartening because, these guys have been through a lot. Some of them can barely stand up straight as they walk in. The pains in your joints, walking on a ballast. This is the life of a track worker. And it's not glorious. Like I said, any title was meant for hazardous pay. It's track work. It's like track workers are the MTA's dirty little secret. Nobody respects us, keep us out of mind, out of sight. Nobody wants us around. Well, I'm here to tell you that track is going to be heard. Not only are we going to be heard, but we're going to be respected, because at the end of the day, if the tracks are not safe, trains don't operate and the system does not work as it's supposed to. We put our life on the line literally every night and every day to ensure that the system is safe and that it's working. And I don't think enough light is given to the duty that we do. And it's easy for somebody on the outside to look at what we do and say, oh, well, you guys, your job is not that tough. Well, you know what? Many of you haven't walked in our shoes. Many of you don't know what it's like night in and night out. And I think that's part of the problem with management, too. You have a lot of management that they've never been on the tracks, but they're ready to tell us what we should or shouldn't be doing with our duties. You got some of these management people who they go through these little college programs and they spend a month or two on the tracks, and now they're expert in the work that we do every day. How's that possible? Because you stepped on the track for a couple of hours a day, now you are an expert on what we do? It doesn't work that way. You're not out there breathing fumes. We work in all kinds of weather conditions. I mean, like I said, people who know, they know. If you don't know, ask a track worker. You can imagine the conditions that we work in. So, I just made this video. This will probably be one of a few videos that I'll be making in the future. Because I feel like track is void of a voice. And it's a lot of intelligent people in track. I talk to them every day. and track needs to stand up. We need to be heard. We're no longer going to be in the shadows. You're no longer going to relegate us to being the MTA's dirty little secret. We are going to be heard. Our cries are no longer going to go on deaf ears. Not when we watch contractors build brand new quarters for themselves and we're sitting in slums. It's not going to happen anymore. And I say this to our leadership in the union. If you are helpless to do anything about the conditions that we have in track, then it is time for you to move out the way. Your time is up. We no longer are going to accept people that's just going to say that that's just the way it is, who's not willing to fight, who doesn't want to change anything. I've had enough of that. I'm going on my 3rd year in transit next month. And I've kind of sat back and I've been humble. And it was a time I felt I didn't have a voice to speak out because I didn't feel that I had enough time. But then I say to myself, how long is time? How long is too much time to sit back and not say anything about the things that are going on? When do you start to step up and say enough is enough? Do you do it in your 5th year? You do it in your 15th year? When you do it towards the end of your career when you're about to retire and it doesn't no longer matter to you? You should do it in your 1st year. The first day on this job, if something is not right, you should speak up about it. So I know that I'm going to be a voice, and I hope a lot of other people become voices. I'm not one to do the social media thing or make videos. This is not my lane. But like I said, when my bro of 30 plus years hit me up and say, yo, Dre, I need you to speak on some things and talk from a track perspective, then I'm going to step up and talk from a track perspective because track needs to be heard and track will be heard. We will no longer be in the shadows. We will no longer accept things that we know that we shouldn't accept. And I'm here to be one of the voices for track. So I hope everybody is being safe out there. My track brothers and sisters, I love you guys. You guys are the best. And be well, and you'll be hearing from me again. God bless. Take care.